All right, so we're going to have equations really for the rest of this chapter and next chapter. So like all of chapter 5, all of chapter 6, where we're dealing with equations in two variables. You know what that means? It's really deep, so pay attention. These equations are going to have two variables. That's all it means. So here we need to get some understanding of why we would even have equations with two variables. And I hope you guys remember these terms from math and science. Have you heard of independent and dependent variables? Yeah. All right. You've heard about it a lot. And I still think it's a tough concept to get. But what's the difference? What does it mean by independent and dependent? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Independent is what causes something that's changed to cause a dependent.
Okay, good. The independent variable is some factor, some variable that causes the dependent factor or variable to change. So which one is dependent on the other? The dependent variable is dependent on the independent variable. Independent, is it dependent on the dependent? I know that seems kind of tricky, but is this depending on that? No, it's vice versa. Okay, so what we need to know for all these problems, your independent variable deals with your domain. Do you guys remember that term? Domain. Domain refers to what values? Specific type of values. Domain is dealing with your x values. So I'm going to put here x. And therefore your dependent variable is dealing with what? Not the domain, but the range, which is dealing with your y values. Okay? So if you can remember that, that'll help you out. But in these problems, you don't always get x and y. Sometimes, ready? You get a and b.
What?
I know. Sometimes they'll do this. G and h. D and v. So what do you guys think? How are you going to be able to determine which one's the domain and which one's the range? I'll give you one easy way. Oh, Matt?
Whichever one comes first from the alphabet?
Usually it's going to be alphabetically. So A and B, G and H, or whatever two other variables are going to use. And if that doesn't give it away, the problem will. So like if I'm talking about time and, how about this? If I'm talking about, time and homework problems that I do, okay? So the more time I have, the more homework problems I can do, right? Does that kind of make sense? The more time I have, the more homework problems I can do. So which one would be independent? Time or the number of homework problems? What's independent of the other? Carson.
What number of homework problems?
Say that again?
What number of homework problems?
So are you saying the homework is independent or dependent?
It's the domain, which is
Close. It's actually going to be your dependent, because time is the independent variable. Like time will go on, no matter how many homework problems you do. But homework problems are dependent on the time. So that's one example. We have others. But we're not going to get into those word problems yet, but we will get to that later, and this is important for that. Okay. Last little note before we get into our first problem. Solutions, because they're going to ask for solutions. So what do you have to write? Solutions for equations in two variables. So when we have an equation with two variables, your solutions are going to be in the form of ordered pairs. Ordered pairs. And you're like, what's an ordered pair? It's your x comma y. It's your coordinates there, x and y coordinates, or a and b coordinates, or g and h, whatever variables they give you. If you know the independent is your domain, dependent range, you're going to get an ordered pair. And that is actually a very, very cool thing. Because when I get an equation with two variables, I can start seeing patterns. And I can not only see the patterns, but I can predict what's going to happen in another situation. Okay? Yeah, we'll talk about that more, because that's getting into the word problems. Let's look at example number 1. And I need somebody to read for me. I'll scroll down just a bit. someone can read for me example 1. Claire, read that, the bold type, nice and loudly, please.
Solve each equation for the given domain values, graph the solution set.
Okay, so this is going to be the longest problem you're going to do on your homework, okay? And then I'll tell you where you would do the other parts, because the other parts aren't that long. This is the longest problem you have to do. Okay, so here are a couple things I need to get down. First, they give me an equation, y equals 4x. Okay, let's see if you guys are paying attention. What is the independent variable in this problem right here? Lily G.
Like the letter?
The independent, yeah. What's the independent variable up there?
X.
X. Emery, what's the dependent variable?
Y.
Y. Okay? Is this an equation, Carrick? Up here, is that an equation?
Yes.
Really? Why? Why is it an equation? It has an equal sign, so it's an equation. Is this an equation in two variables? Yes, that's an equation, two variables. Then they give me a domain. So I'll put here if domain, and I'll abbreviate here. I'll use the letter D for domain, and then they're going to give me, -3, -2, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so they give me domain values. What does domain refer to again? Yes, sir? The independent variables, which means it's referring to which of these variables? X. Okay, this is what I want you to do. We're going to create a table. Okay, create a table. And let me help you out on how to make these tables, because I want you to use your space well and not get cluttered up. The first column is going to be pretty thin. It doesn't have to be very wide. The second column should be the widest one, because that's where you're going to do most of the work. The third column does not need to be that wide. And the last column just has to fit an ordered pair. So it just has to fit two numbers with parentheses. All right? And you're like, okay. This is going to be labeled my X column. This is going to be labeled my Y column. And then this last column is ordered pairs. Ordered pairs. Okay, I'll let you write that down. Ordered pairs. Okay, this second column right here is going to be what y equals. What does y equal in this equation? What does y equal? Y equals 4x. Yep, 4x. Right there. Y equals 4x. So that's all you have to put. Okay. Do I know my x values in this problem? Really? Where? Where did I get the x value? Oh, that's right. The domain's talking about your x. So go ahead and list those out. And don't get them too squeezed together, because then your work's going to be really close, and then it can get confusing. All right. Do you guys remember this from last year? Okay, we're going to do this for a couple more lessons. And then there's got to be a superior way to do it. So we're going to do that in just a moment. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of x, I'm going to substitute -3 for the first one. Instead of x for the second case, I'm going to substitute -2. So on and so forth. I'm basically evaluating in these problems, by the way. So you've done evaluation problems many, many times. So what does y equal when x equals -3? What does y equal when x equals -2? When y equals 0, 1, and 2? Okay, what is 4 times -3? -12. What's 4 times -2? -8. What's 4 times 0? 0. 4 times 1? 4 times 2? All right, so we have our numbers. Nice. Okay, what's the ordered pair for the first case? -3. I'll make that clear. -3, anybody? -12. -3, -12. Okay? Can you fill in the next spots? I hope so. Again, this is review. Shouldn't be too bad. -2, -8. 0, 0. 1, 4. 2, 8. By the way, I talked to the 7th graders today, and we were having a discussion on how to say words. And I told them that my last year's 7th grade class convinced me that the way I said the way I said the number 0 was not proper.
We're sorry. Origin. Yes. I like it, right? Please stop that.
And I felt very self-conscious. And so I changed the way I said it. I mean, it changed me completely. As a teacher, for 6 years, I would do this way. And then starting last year, it totally changed. So now this is 0, 0. And I will never remember what it was before. Okay, anyway.
Can I say it? Oh, yes. 0.
Go ahead. Hold on.
Clear.
Okay, be strong. Go. I don't remember it that way, but we'll say it was. Because you make me sound like Charles Barkley, which is kind of cool, but... Oh, there you go. Okay, anyway, let me give you this. According to the instructions that Claire read, would this be the complete answer? Why not? I mean, didn't we get the solutions? Okay, what else does it ask me to do? Graph it. So this is not the solution, although it is part of it. Listen carefully. When they say get the solution to this equation with this domain, listen carefully, all they want is this. But if they ask you then graph it or graph the solution, you have to graph it. Okay, I'm going to teach you a few things about graphing before we get into it because I want to make sure that you graph efficiently and you're not like drawing these giant graphs with these really tiny graphs and it's all mixed up together. Okay, before I start drawing my coordinate plane, I'm going to ask myself a couple questions. How far should I go left and right on my coordinate plane? Just look at the numbers. How far should I go left and right? I'm going to go from -3 to +2. So do you think it has to be really wide? No. So I'm not going to make it a wide one. I'm going to do that. Okay? And so it looks different on your paper, but let's look at the vertical axis. Where am I going from? -12, so -12 all the way to +8. So instead of drawing it like a perfect T, I'm going to just draw it a little bit longer on the bottom, right? Just a little bit longer because it's reflecting those numbers. Now, you can always go by ones. You can go like -1, -2, -3, all the way to -12. But you don't have to go by ones. In fact, what do you think you should go by? Twos. Just go by twos. So I'm going to make each one of these tick marks twos. So 2, -2, -4, -6, -8, -10, -12. And I have to label them, okay? I can't just say they are because I don't know that unless you wrote that for me. Okay? So you just label. Every tick mark is worth 2 negatives. You could do by ones, but then again, it gets cluttered. So try not to make it cluttered. Yes, sir?
If you did 2 by 1s, would you still have to label them?
No, if you don't, and good point, if you just do it by ones, you don't have to label it. Therefore, if you went by twos and you didn't label it, I'm thinking you're going by ones, and that throws us all off. 2, 4, 6, 8. I'll go to 10. And those numbers, by the way, don't have to be huge. 10. Yes, I get it. Just write 10. Very, very small. Okay. What about your horizontal axis? You're going from -3 to +2. So can you go by? Can you go by ones? You can. And you can make those spaces bigger. That's okay, as long as they're evenly spaced. So I'm going to go by ones here, so I'm not even going to label them because they're by ones. Okay, -3, -12. So -3, 1, 2, 3. -12 is down here. That's -3, 12. -2, -8. -2, -8, somewhere about right there. Oh, my favorite one, the origin. Right there. And then 1, 4, 1, 4. And then 2, 8, 2, 8. All right. Now, some of you are tempted to say, oh, Mr. A, if you connect the dots, what do you get? A line. Do not connect the dots. That's your answer right there. That's it. Don't connect the dots. Now, should your dots form a line? If you were to connect them, they should. But we're not going to do that today. That's your answer. Okay, you guys good on that? You're only going to do a few of these. So don't feel like you have to do a ton of them. Okay, let's go to another one. Example number 2. 2 is a little bit different. I want to make sure you're prepared for it. Example 2. They say at 8x plus 4y equals 24 if domain is equal to -2, 0, 5, and 8. Okay. What do they want me to do in example number 2? Read the instructions. Maggie. And they give you those domain values. Do they want you to graph it? Okay. If you're looking at the top of your notes, what should my answers look like on this problem? So look at your notes. See if you can figure out. If I have this right here, they want me to get a solution. What should they look like? Set of ordered pairs. Parentheses, 2 numbers. Parentheses, 2 numbers. Okay. And just one way of doing this would be to make a table. But there's something wrong here. Actually, you know what? Let's make the table, and then I'll show you what's wrong. So make my table. It doesn't have to be as big even as the last one, but X should be a thin column. I'll make this a little bit thicker. Thin column, and I'm good. X, Y, and then ordered pairs. I'll even do this. You just say X, comma, Y. Okay. What should go in the top of that second column? Ugh. Let me ask this question. What does Y equal in that equation? And this is what I do. I don't know. I don't know what it equals. Is Y by itself in this equation? No. So what do you think you have to do? Solve for Y. Do you remember we had an equation with multiple variables and you had to pick one of them and solve for it? That's what you're doing up here. So I'm going to solve for Y. How do you guys do that? I think I heard it. Subtract 8x from both sides. Subtract 8x. Do you remember this? And then you're going to get 4y equals, and then you can put it in any order. I'll just put it like this. Okay? 4y equals 24 minus 8x. Then you have to divide both sides by? Okay, here's where you got to be careful. You're going to get y, which is nice. Y equals. What does y equal? Be careful here. What does y equal? So I have 24 minus 8x over 4, but I need to simplify that. Because you could use that, but these numbers are big. Carson? I'll give Carson a chance.
Is it 6 minus 8x over 4?
Close. It's 6. 6 is good. What'd you do, Carson? Did you do 24 divided by 4? Good. You got 6. And then you have to do negative 8x divided by 4. Because you have to divide both of these by 4. So what's negative 2x? That's what y equals. So what should I put right here? What does y equal? 6 minus 2x. That's what I'm going to put in there. Or could you have put it a different way? There's a little bit different way you could have done it. And it's totally okay. Ready? Y equals 6 minus 2x, but it also equals negative 2x plus 6. Is that true? Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you put it. If you're more comfortable with one or the other, fine. All right, what are my x values, Harrison?
Negative 6, 0, 5, 8.
All right, so I have my 4 values. Go ahead and evaluate them all to get my y's. Is it warm in here? Yay, nay? A little. Okay, what does y equal if x equals negative 2? So what does y equal if x equals negative 2? Anyone have it? 10. Because you're going to get 6 plus 4. This becomes positive 4. Okay, what does y equal when x equals 0? 6. Because 6 minus 2 times 0, that's 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. What does y equal when x equals 5? Negative 4. 2 times 5 is 10. 6 minus 10 is negative 4. And then what does y equal when x equals 8? Negative 10. What's 2 times 8? 16. What's 6 minus 16? Negative 10. So if you had a little bit of trouble with that, it's okay. And if you can't do this in your head, you know what I do? I write it off to the side. Like, Mr. A, you're saying that 6 minus 2 times 5 is equal to negative 4. Wait. 6 minus 10. Oh, yeah, that is negative 4. Okay, that's totally okay. What's the ordered pair for the first one? 6 minus 16. Negative 210. Second ordered pair. Matt? 0, 6. Third, Rosalind? 5 and negative 4. And last one, Lily M. 8, negative 10. All right. Do we have to graph this? So I'm like, I don't remember. Look at the instructions. Do we graph it? Did it say to graph it? No. This is your answer. A set of ordered pairs. All they want is the solution, so that's all you have to give. Okay? And then let's go through number 13. It's actually the first one in your homework, because this one's a slightly different one. Okay, number 13 on page 275. Which ordered pairs are solutions of each equation? So they give you and the reason was twofold. First of all, that's the first problem that we go over that says A and B. Oh, man. Okay, they want you to pick A, B, C, or D is a solution to this equation. You can have more than one answer, so we need to check them all. All right, the first one I need to check is this, A. What's the ordered pair for A? What's the ordered pair for 4, negative 4, right? Is that it? Is that A? Okay, so this, wait. Which one's A and which one's B? Jenna? Okay. You don't have it? Okay, we'll get you a book. So what's A and B in 4, negative 4? Yeah, it's alphabetical order. So A is going to be 4, and B is going to be negative 4. And what I want you to get comfortable doing is instead of the variable, I put parentheses, okay? And the reason I do that is to keep all my signs correctly accounted for. So here, what's 3 times 4? 12. 12 plus negative 4 is the same thing as 12 minus 4. Is 12 minus 4 equal to 8? So I put a little check mark. And this is just how I do it, just so I keep it straight. I've had a good suggestion from someone that that's a good way to do it. Okay, so A would be a solution. A would be a solution. B, what is the ordered pair for B? I think I heard it, but not in the right order. 8, 0. So I'm going to put here 3 times 8 plus 0 equals 8. So what's 3 times 8? 24. Is 24 plus 0 equal to 8? No. So this B is not a solution. Not a solution. Do that for C and D. Yes. Oh. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, do you see C right here? Mm-hmm. And if it works, you check it. If it doesn't work, you exit. And then when you're done, your answer should be the 2 letters that are solutions to number 13. So I already knew that A was a solution. That's one of them. What's the other solution? Matt? C. What about D? D was not. So you just say A and C. That's your answer. But you got to work them out. You can guess them. but that's not going to help you on your test. And I need to see work because I want to make sure that you're getting it, not just looking at the back and saying, yeah, oh, great, they told me what it was. Awesome. That's not the point of the homework. Okay, you guys good on those? All right, your homework tonight. I'll give Turner something else. No, she gets homework. She gets the blessing of homework, but also something else. All right, so 13, which hopefully you just did. And, wow, I just had my homework and I lost it. I'm going to check on Sycamore real quick. But you can go ahead and start the odds on that because.
Write the answer because we already had it marked out in our book.
Yeah, you already did 13. Okay, it's 13 to 31 odd. Yes, ma'am. And that's page 275. I don't know yet. Exactly. Probably my parents